Co-regulation doesn't mean having sex when you don't want to. Hi, I'm Nat, and I'm an advocate for victims of sexual coercion within a marriage or other long-term relationship. And what I do here is create content that invites people to think differently about sex and how it affects our bodies. I've talked to millions of women about coercion, and I've experienced it myself. It's incredibly common, and I guarantee you that some of your clients are experiencing it. So I have a post on my Substack called Dear Therapy Professional, in which I wrote an open letter to therapists. In it, I describe the ways that men sexually coerce their partners. Some women too, but it is primarily men. Here's the thing you need to know about women in these marriages. They don't know that they're being sexually coerced. Most of them have no idea and have never even heard of it before. All they know is that their husband isn't happy and it has something to do with her not wanting sex. They'll go to therapy and they'll talk to someone like you who will tell them things like this. And without ever realizing it, you're enabling her husband to abuse her. Without knowing it, you've told her that she needs to give sex to her husband. You've described a situation in which her husband is upset and needs to regulate his nervous system, and she's going to use co-regulation to do that sexually. You've described a situation in which she's not feeling up to it, but she's deciding to give in and consent to this co-regulation. That's not what's really happening. Most women are not very good at regulating themselves to begin with. So if they're not in the mood, they're not generally going to know how to get themselves in the mood. So they're just pretending. They're faking it for him. She's going through the motions and letting him use her body to co-regulate. But what she's experiencing is a sexual assault. Conscious mind said yes, but her subconscious and her nervous system, her body, is saying no. And every time she does this, it makes her a little bit more turned off to sex. Now her husband is even more upset with her because she's still having a problem with all this co-regulating that the therapist said she should be doing. And he's telling her, well, didn't you hear the therapist say that we need to co-regulate? So there are a couple of things you can do here. First, stop referring to it as giving sex. Sex should always be mutual because we both want it. Don't ever tell a woman that it's okay to have sex when she doesn't want it. As I said in my comment, it's why we don't tell kids that they have to hug grandma anymore. If a kid doesn't want to hug and they're forced to go through with it, that's non-consensual touch, and our nervous systems are very sensitive to that. If someone doesn't want to co-regulate and they're being forced to, either because of their husband or their therapist, it's doing a lot of damage. I've described it before like being poisoned slowly. It can take a long time, but one day they're not going to want to be touched at all by anyone. So now I would invite you to follow me to learn more about what we talk about here. Or you can block me and pretend you never saw me.